Welcome back to the Timeless Tales Library, where the world outside fades and a new story begins. I'm Oliver, your host, and tonight I'll be sharing a soothing tale to ease your mind and guide you gently towards sleep. The Timeless Tales Library is made possible by listeners like you. If you've found comfort here, please subscribe and help us continue creating these peaceful stories. As you settle in, comment below and let me know where you are in the world tonight, and share a place you dream of, a story taking you to perhaps the dusty aisles of an old bookstore, the quiet corners of a coastal lighthouse, a snow-blanketed cabin, or a silent, star-filled desert. Your ideas keep our little library glowing bright. First, we will start off with an original radio recording of A Christmas Carol. Next, we will present a reimagined sleep-time version, A Christmas Carol, featuring Scrooge. And now for a reading of A Christmas Carol.
Marley was dead to begin with. There's no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it. And Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. Scrooge and Marley were partners for I don't know how many years. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, was Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house, a grim, cheerless place if ever there was one. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open, that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, Bar Cratchit, who in a cold and dismal little cell beyond worked at his ledgers.
20, 21, 22. Merry gentlemen, let not be you dismay. 23, 26, 29, Christmas Day. 11, 13, 17, 7, Carol was. Yes, Mr. Scrooge.
Imagine found casual on me.
Yes, sir. 15, 17, 29.
Singing that idiotic Christmas carols at my very door. Oh, somewhere else and fellow, you blasted carols. Oh, give me in charge. Yes, and I don't want any of your old customs. Take your fellow fools and go away. Christmas. Blah.
Right there. Anyway, Merry Christmas, Uncle. Merry Christmas, Bob. Merry Christmas, Mr. Brad. God save you, Uncle.
Humbug.
Christmas a humbug, Uncle? No, I'm sure you don't mean that.
I mean just that. Exactly that. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you? You're bored enough.
Well, what right have you to be dismal about Christmas, Uncle? You're rich enough. Now, Uncle, don't be cross.
Well, what else can I be when I live in such a world of fools? What's Christmas to you but a time for paying bills without money? Merry Christmas. A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle?
Nephew, Keep your Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it, but you don't keep it, Uncle.
Well, let me leave it alone then. What do you want? Christmas gift, I've no doubt.
I came to wish you a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Merry Christmas. Much good may Christmas do you. Much good it ever has done you.
There are many things from which I derive good by which I have not profited materially, I dare say, Uncle. Christmas among the rest. But I have always thought of Christmas time as a good time. A kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. And therefore, Uncle, though it never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God's blessing. God bless Christmas. Hurrah!
Let me hear another sound out of you there, Bob Cratchit, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation.
Yes.
As to you, nephew, I wonder you don't go into Parliament. You talk enough nonsense.
Don't be angry, Uncle. I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. I've tried. A Merry Christmas to you, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year, too.
Humbug.
And a Merry Christmas to you, Bob and the missus, and Tiny Tim. And Fred, same to you, sir. Good day, sir. Good day, Bob.
Nonsense. What a lumbery. Talking of Christmas and not 2 sixpences to dingle together in his trousers pocket. You there, Bob Cratchit. Come here. What are you doing there?
I was only putting a bit more coal on the fire, Mr. Scrooge, seeing it's so cold in there, so...
Well, you put that coal back into the scuttle. A fire! A fire, indeed. I can tell you, if you use coal at that rate, you and I will soon be parting company, Bob Cratchit. You understand that? There's many a young fella like your situation, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. My fingers were getting a little stiff with the cold.
Then put on your mittens. There's someone at the door. See who it is.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. This is the firm of Scrooge and Marley.
Yes, sir.
I should like to see the head of the firm, if I may.
Oh, very good, sir.
What is it?
The gentleman to see you, Mr. Scrooge.
Huh?
Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Marley's been dead these 7 years tonight. I'm Scrooge.
Now, Mr. Scrooge, at this season of the year, it's only fitting that we who are more fortunate should raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. You may not believe it, sir, but many thousands are now in want of common necessities, and hundreds of thousands are in want of the simplest comforts, sir.
Are there no prisoners?
There are plenty of prisons, sir.
And the workhouses? They're still in operation, I trust.
I wish I could say they are not, but they are, sir.
The treadmill and the pool hall are in full vigor then?
Both very busy, sir.
Oh, well, I'm very glad to hear that. I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful call.
No, sir, all these institutions that you mention are flourishing. But it's nevertheless true that some additional provision for the poor and the destitute must be made. A few of us upon change are endeavoring to raise such a fund, you see. And what shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
Oh, I see. You wish to be anonymous, sir.
I wish to be let alone. I don't make merry myself at Christmas time, and I can't afford to keep a lot of idle people and make them merry. I help support the establishments that take care of the poor. They cost enough. Let those who are badly off go there.
Many can't go there, sir. And many would rather die.
Well, my advice to them is to do so and decrease the surplus population. Besides, I'm only your word for it. They're all is so.
The truth, Mr. Scrooge.
Well, so be it then. It's not my business. It's enough for a man to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, sir.
I quite understand, Mr. Scrooge.
Cratchit, show this gentleman out.
Yes, sir. This way, please. Sir, I couldn't help overhearing. I should like to contribute tuppence.
Cratchit.
Yes, sir.
It isn't much, but it's all I can afford. There are others in worse situation than I am.
You're a generous fellow. I wish I might say so of your employer.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir.
Merry Christmas. Close the door.
Yes, sir, I have closed it, sir. 24, 31, 1 carry 3. A new scarlet tippet, Tiny Tim. The comb for Martha. 33, 3 carry 3. Hair ribbon for Belinda. 4, 7, 12, 15.
I suppose you want the entire day tomorrow.
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient and it's not fair. But I suppose I can't do anything about it. If I was to stop half a crown of your wages, you'd think yourself very ill-used, I'll be bound.
Well, sir,
Yet you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work?
it's only once a year, sir.
Once a year. Once a year, indeed. A fine excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose it's no good talking. You must have the whole day. Well, see that you're here all the earlier the next morning. You understand?
Oh, I will, sir. I will, sir, indeed. Good night, sir, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
The office was closed in a twinkling, and Bob Cratchit, with the long ends of his white comforter dangling below his waist, for he boasted no greatcoat, went down a slide on Cornhill 20 times in honor of its being Christmas Eve, and then ran home to Camden Town as hard as he could pelt to play with his family at Blind Man's Buff. Scrooge, on the other hand, took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern. Having read all the newspapers and spent the rest of the evening with his vacant book, went to his dismal house. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge likes it. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, had to grope with his hands through the fog and the frost to find the door. Scrooge walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Sitting room, bedroom, lumber room, all as they should be. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa. Nobody under the bed, nobody in the closet. Closed the door. Locked himself in, double-locked himself in. Took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown and slippers and his nightcap. He sat down before the fire to take his gruel.
Marley. I could have sworn I saw. Marley's been dead these 7 years. Humbug. It's all humbug. What I need is a good night's comes in the place. The door locked and double locked. Something is happening. Something is coming closer. Outside my door. I won't believe it. It's humbug still. Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh no. What do you want from me? I want much, you Ebenezer. Who are you? Ask me who I was. Are you very particular or a ghost? All right. Who were you then? In life, I was your father, Jacob Marley. Jacob Marley? But you're dead. You died 7 years ago. 7 years ago this very night. You are a ghost then? What's wrong, Ebenezer? Don't you believe in me? I do not. You doubt your senses, Ebenezer? Yes, because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You can't be a ghost. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There may be more gravy than grave about you, whatever you are. Humbug, I tell you. Humbug. Excuse me. I don't believe in you. You are a ghosty. I do. What? Why do you walk there, Jacob? Why do you come to me? It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men and travel far and wide to witness what it cannot share but might have shared on earth and turn to happiness. Tell me, Jacob, what is that chain you wear around you? I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link and yard by yard by my own free will. In its pattern strange to you, Ebenezer? Catchboxes, key, padlock, ledgers, fancy. Yours was as heavy and as long as this 7 years ago. And you have labored on it since, Ebenezer. Oh, Jacob, speak comfort to me. Comfort I have none to give. I cannot rest. I cannot stay. I cannot linger. Weary journeys lie before me. You travel far? Yes, Ebenezer. On the wings of the wind. 7 years dead and traveling all the time? 7 years, Ebenezer. 7 years of remorse. Ebenezer, do you know that no space of regret can make amends for one life's opportunities misuses? You were always a good man of business, Jacob. Business? Mankind was my business. Charity, mercy, benevolence, they were all my business. The feelings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. Oh, Jacob, don't take on so. Jacob,
Listen to me, Ebenezer.
I listen to you, Jacob. Go on, Jacob, speak to me. But don't be so flowery.
Ebenezer, I am here to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate. Do you hear that, Ebenezer?
Yes, Jacob. You've always been a good friend to me, Jacob. Thank you, Jacob. But go on. Go on. Go on. How shall I escape? Oh, I'm afraid, Jacob.
You will be haunted by free spirits.
Is that the only chance and hope, Jacob?
It is your only chance and hope.
And I think I'd rather not.
Without their visit, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow, when the bell tolls one.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it all with Jacob?
Ebenezer, look that for your own sake you remember what has passed between us. And remember, when the bell tolls one, look for the first spirit.
My. My.
Scrooge awoke. He was lying on his bed fully dressed. Suddenly the curtains of his bed were drawn aside. Scrooge found himself face to face with the unearthly visitor who drew him. As close to it as I am now to you. And I am standing in the spirit at your elbow. There's a strange figure, like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man. Does who is that? Ebenezer Scrooge, I have come for you. You are the spirit, sir, whose coming was foretold me. I am that spirit. What are you? I am the ghost of Christmas past. Long past? No, your past. But, what do you want of me? What brings you here to haunt me? Your welfare, Ebenezer Scrooge. Rise and walk with me. Oh, no, you're not out the window. I can't do that. I'd fall down. I'm not a spirit. I'm mortal. I'll fall. Bear but a touch of my hand upon your heart, and you shall be upheld in more than this. Come, follow me. Now, what's become of the city? And there's snow upon the ground. Where are we? These are the shadows of the things that have been. You recognize this countryside? Oh, I know every inch of it. Every rock, every tree. And that bleak building over there? That building. I was a boy there. Yes. I went to school in that horrible place. Do you recollect that? I could walk in blindfold. Strange you forgot so many years. Come, let us go closer. Look through the window into that cold, barren room. What do you see, Ebenezer Scrooge? I see a boy, a solitary child, neglected by his family, alone.
Yes, yes, I see. I know that boy. Oh, I was so lonely. Poor boy. Your lip is trembling, Scrooge. And what is that on your cheek? Nothing, nothing at all. I wish it's too late for that now. What's the matter? Nothing, nothing. The waits came to my door singing Christmas carols last night. With a boy like that among them. A poor, thin, pale boy in a ragged coat. I thought give him something. Is that all? Come, Ebenezer Scrooge. Let us see another Christmas. Do you know this place, Ebenezer Scrooge? Know it? Know it? Why, this is the counting house where I was apprenticed. Listen. Your partner? Why, it's my old master. Bless his heart, old Fezziwig. My master, alive again, and host on one of his Christmas parties. Listen to it. Let the needle and back to your places. There, Dick Wilkins. Poor Dick, dear, yes. And look, there's Mrs. Fezziwig herself, looking younger than any of 'em. And the table's all loaded with roast and cider, and mince pie and beer. Oh, what a jolly time we used to have. That carefree young man with the light heart and the gay smile. Do you recognize him? Yes, merciful heaven. How happy I was then. A small matter for old Fezziwig to make those silly folks so full of joy. Small matter? Small indeed, isn't it? He has spent only a few pounds of your mortal money. Is that so much that he deserves praise? Ah, it's not that. It's not that, Spirit. Old Fezziwig has the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or heavy. His power lies in words and looks, in things so tiny it's impossible to count him up. The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost her. But what is the matter? Nothing. Nothing at all, but something, I think. No. Only it's just that I should like to be able to say a word or two to my Clara. Well, Cratchit just now, that's all. My time grows short, and we have yet another journey to make. Where now? Come. This is our last visit to the past, Ebenezer. Here, in this little room, with a fair young girl by your side. Do you recognize yourself, Ebenezer? Oh, no, spare me this. You're older now, a man in the prime of life. Your face has begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. Your eyes are greedy.
the eager, restless eyes of a miser.
No,
He knows it's too. That girl by your side, there are tears in her eyes.
It mattered little, Ebenezer, to you. Very little. I know that. Belle, have I changed towards you? When we were engaged, we were both poor. Was it better then? Better to be poor? Better at least to be happy. You're changed. You were another man then. I was a boy. Do you blame me because I've grown wiser? Have I ever tried to break our engagement? In words, no. Never. In what then? In a changed nature. In an altered spirit. In everything that made my love of any value in your sight. So I release you from the promise. Belle. Oh, at first it may cause you pain to lose me, a very brief pain. But soon it will be dim, like a half-remembered gleam, an unprofitable dream, and you will be glad to be awake from such a dream. May you be happy in the life you have chosen, Ebenezer. For the love of you.
Spirit, it's enough. Show me no more. Take me home.
These were shadows of the things that have been. That they are what they are, do not blame me.
No more, no more.
One shadow more. Come. Do you see this man, Ebenezer Scrooge? This man might have been you, and the woman beside him your wife, and that girl might have been your daughter, Ebenezer Scrooge. She might have called you father. She might have been a springtime in the haggard winter of your life.
Please let me go. Show me no more.
Listen now, while they speak, Ebenezer.
Belle, I saw an old friend of yours today.
Was it?
Yes.
How can I, if all I know, Mr. Scrooge?
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed his office window. It wasn't shuttered, and there was a candle inside, so I couldn't help seeing him. His partner Marley lies at the point of death, I hear, and there Scrooge sat all alone. Quite alone in the world, I do believe.
Spirit, I can bear no more. Leave me. Let me no more. Take me back. Take me back.
Looking when there's not looks out, on those beach touched heathens, when the snow lays high about, teeth and crisp and heathens, brightly shone the moon that night.
On the stroke of one, Scrooge awakened suddenly and sat him bolt upright in his own bed. He remembered the words of Marley's ghost, and wondered from which direction the second spectre would appear. At that moment, nothing between a baby and a rhinoceros would have astonished him very much. Now being prepared for almost anything, he was not by any means prepared for nothing. And consequently, when no shape appeared, he was taken with a violent fit of trembling. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, quarter of an hour went by, yet nothing came. Then as he sat in his bed, he became aware gradually of a great blaze of ruddy light. It seemed to shine upon him from the adjoining room. He got up softly and shuffled in his slippers to the door. It was his own sitting room, there was no doubt about that. But it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove. And there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch in shape not unlike Plenty's horn, and held it up high up to shed its light on Scrooge as he came peeping round the corner. Come in, Ebenezer Scrooge, and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas past. Spirit, take me where you will. Last time I went against my will and learned a lesson which is working now. If you have anything to teach me, let me profit by it. Touch my robe, Ebenezer Scrooge. Touch my robe. Where have you brought me, Spirit? To an humble dwelling in an humble street. Is miserable enough? Yet there is happiness there. Who are these people? Who's that woman? And the children? These are the family of your clerk, Bob Cratchit. See his wife, dressed in a twice-turned gown, but brave in ribbons, laying the table for their Christmas dinner. And there, assisting her, is her daughter, Belinda. And the young man with the fork in the stuffing, that is Master Peter Cratchit. And the two little Cratchit. Listen, Scrooge, and watch.
Now sit you down before the fire, Martha, and have a warm, long pleasure. Where's Father? He's been to church with Tiny Tim. They'll be along directly. How is Tiny Tim, Mother? Any better at all? Sometimes I think he is. And sometimes I think, oh, dear God, if anything should happen to Tiny Tim. Oh, Mother, you must have been thinking of such a thing.
Everybody. Oh, welcome, my dear.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Father, and Tim. Merry Christmas, Martha. Oh, Tim, you darling. Oh, Father, I'm so glad to be home.
And we're glad to have you, Martha.
And how did little Tim behave in church, Bob?
As good as gold and better.
I like church, Mother. Oh, they sang the nicest songs. I hope people saw me there.
Saw you there? And why, Tim?
Well, don't you see? Because I'm lame. And if they saw my crutch, it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas who it was who made lame beggars walk and blind men see.
Bless you, my son.
Are we ready to eat, Mother? Oh, children, you're all ready. Come, take your eggs and wait your turns. There's plenty of stuffing and dressing and plum pudding for all of you. Martha, take care of Tiny Tim and see that he eats plenty. Mother is strong and well. Now sit down, everyone. And now, my dear.
I see a vacant seat in the broad chimney corner, and the crutch without an owner, carefully preserved.
No, kind spirit. Say you be spared. Say you live.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, Ebenezer, the child will die.
Pray thy name. Amen.
And now, my dears, we're setting the dinner a toast. A Merry Christmas to us all, and God bless us.
God bless everyone.
And now to Mr. Scrooge. I'll give you a toast to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed, who pays you all 15 shillings a week. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast on, and I hope he'd have good appetite for
My
it.
dear, the children, Christmas Day.
It should be Christmas Day, I'm sure, on which one drinks the health of such an odious, stingy, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know he is, Bob. Nobody knows it better than you, poor fellow.
Dear Christmas Day.
I'll drink his health for your sake and the day's, not for his. Long life to him. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
And I say God bless him too, Mother, and everyone.
There was nothing of high mark in all this. They were not a handsome family, these Cratchits. They were not well dressed. Their shoes were far from being waterproof. Their clothes were scanty and had known, very likely, the insides of a pawnbroker's. But they were happy, grateful, pleased with one another and contented with the time. And when at last they faded, Scrooge had his eye upon, and especially on Tiny Tim, until the last. Many calls Scrooge made that night with a ghost of Christmas present. Down among the miners they went who labor in the bowels of the earth, and out to sea among the sailors at their watch, dark ghostly figures in their several stations. Much they saw and far they went, and many places they visited, but always with a happy end. The spirits stood beside sick beds and they were cheerful. On foreign lands and they were close at home. By poverty and it was rich. In almshouse, hospital and jail, where vain man in his little brief authority had not made fast the door and barred the spirit out, the spirit left his blessing. It was a long night. And it was only a night. And it was strange, too, that while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older.
My life upon this grove is very brief, Ebenezer. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at midnight. The hour has come.
Oh, Jack, there's still more things I wish to learn.
These you will learn from still another spirit. Still another spirit, Ebenezer.
Scrooge looked about him for the ghost that had vanished. But he found himself once more on his bed in his dressing gown and his nightcap. He'd heard the clock strike. And then he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and lifting up his eyes beheld the third spirit. A solemn phantom. Shrouded in black, draped and hooded, coming towards him slowly and silently, like a mist along the ground.
I know you. You are the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You show me the shadows of things that have not happened but will happen in the time before us. Answer me, spirit, the ghost of the future. Oh, I fear you more than any specter I've seen. Yet, as I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, lead on. Lead on! The night is waiting fast. Time is precious. Spirit, why have you brought me here again? Into Bob Cratchit's home? It's not the same. Why is it so quiet? So very quiet here.
Mother, please. Oh, my son. My little son. Jim. I loved him so. Mother dear, you mustn't. It's almost time for Father to be home. Don't let him see you crying. Yes. Yes, Martha. He late tonight. He walks slower than he used to. Yet I've known him to walk very fast indeed with Tiny Tim on his shoulder. So have I, my little. But he was light to carry. And his father loved him so that it was no trouble. No trouble at all. Bob.
Good evening, my dear.
You're late, Bob.
I'm sorry, my dear. I went to the churchyard today. I wish you could have gone with me. It would have done your heart good to see how sweet and green a place it is. You'll see it often. I promised to. I promised Tiny Tim we'd go off there on Sunday.
Oh, Father dear, it's God's will, Bob.
I'm trying to understand it, my dear. My son. My little son, Tiny Tim. And I loved him so. Oh, that's cruel. Cruel. Spirit, can't you give me one ray of hope that I may change all that? That Tiny Tim may live? Where are we now? Oh, merciful heaven. Churchyard. Overrun by grass and weeds. Choked with too much burying. Desolate and lonely, crumbling gravestone. Spirit, Before I draw near to that gravestone, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or are they the shadows of things that may be only? Will you not speak to me, Spirit? What is that way to which you point? Now I see. There's writing on that stone. Name on the gravestone is Ebenezer. Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, Spirit. No, no, no. Spirit, kill me. I'm not the man I was. Why show me this if I'm past all hope? Tell me that I may change these dreadful shadows that have come, that you've shown me by an ordered life. I'll honor Christmas in my heart, and I'll try and keep it all the year. I live in the past, the present, and the future. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Tell me, do, Spirit, please tell me that I can sponge away the writing on that stone, Spirit. I beg of you, Spirit, Spirit. I promise on my knees. I promise. I promise. What's this? My big house. I'm home. In my own bed. In my own room. And the sun. The sun. It's clear. It's bright. No one. Oh, what a beautiful day. Glorious. Glorious. Boy. Oh, boy. It was today. What day is it, my fine fella?
Why, Christmas Day.
Christmas Day! Listen, the spirits have done it all in one night. All in one night. Heaven be praised. Listen, my lad. You know where the poultry is in the next street?
I should say I do.
An intelligent boy. A remarkable boy. Tell me, do you know if they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging in the window?
The one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Yes, my buck?
He's hanging in out, sir.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now go around, will you? And tell him to send it to Bob Cratchit and his family on Broad Street. And mind you, they're not to know who paid for it. Now hurry along, my lad. And here, but here's half a crown for your trouble.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And a Merry Christmas to you too, my boy. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather, as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. A Merry Christmas. A Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year to all the world.
Next morning, Scrooge was early at his office. He went early for a reason. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming late. That was the thing he'd set his heart upon. And he did it. Yes, he did. The clock had struck 9. No Bob. A quarter past. No Bob. Scrooge sat with his door wide open that he might see him come in, and at last he came. His hat was off before he opened the door. His comforter, too, he was on his stool and gently driving away with his pen, as if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock.
8, 17, and 15, carry the 1, 24, carry the 2, 31, carry the 4, 8 and 6, 14, carry the 8.
Oh, you Cratchit!
Yes, sir.
Step this way, Cratchit, if you please. Cratchit, what do you mean by coming in at this time of day?
Oh, I'm very sorry, sir. I'm behind my time.
You are? You are? Yes, I think you are.
Oh, it's only once a year, Mr. Scrooge. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
I tell you what, my friend, I'll not stand this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, Bob Cratchit, I'm about to raise your salary.
Mr. Scrooge, are you quite yourself, sir?
No. No, thank heaven I'm not quite myself. Merry Christmas, Bob. Ha ha! Merry Christmas, my good fella. And merrier Christmas than I've given you in many a year. I'll raise your salary and we'll see what we can do for Tiny Tim and the rest of your family. We'll discuss it this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bacon. Bob, make up the fire. Make it up and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I. Bob Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. To Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh and little heeded them. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards, and it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone.
The Lord is come. We sing birthday, every heart.
That was a live radio broadcast of A Christmas Carol. Now, close your eyes and breathe slowly. Let the weight of the day lift from your shoulders. Tonight, you are wandering into the celestial wing of the Timeless Tales Library. Here, shelves stretch skyward, filled with books that shimmer like starlight. Every volume holds a story written among constellations, planets, and distant galaxies. The air is quiet but alive with the hum of distant stars, guiding your mind into wonder. Feel your body sink into the safety of your bed, your private nook in this cosmic hall. Release your toes, your fingers, your shoulders. Let the gentle calm of the universe settle into you as your imagination drifts among the starlit pages. Turn the first page and float among the constellations. Let the stories guide you through a night of gentle exploration and quiet amazement. Ebenezer Scrooge and the Gentle Snowfall, a Christmas Sleep Story. The snow began to fall just as the cathedral bells chimed 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve, each flake drifting down like a whispered blessing over the cobblestone streets of London. Ebenezer Scrooge stood at his parlour window, watching the gentle cascade transform the familiar cityscape into something altogether more magical. The harsh edges of chimney stacks and shop awnings softened beneath the snow's tender touch, and even the lamp posts seemed to glow with warmer light, their golden halos catching the dancing crystals as they spiraled earthward. How different this Christmas Eve felt from all the others that had come before. Scrooge pressed his palm against the cool glass, remembering other winters when the sight of falling snow had filled him only with thoughts of increased coal bills and the inconvenience of muddy footprints tracked across his floors. Tonight, however, the snow seemed to carry with it a profound sense of peace, as if each flake held within it a small portion of the contentment that had taken root in his heart since that transformative Christmas morning not so long ago. The fire crackled softly in the grate behind him, casting warm amber light across the comfortable sitting room that had once felt so austere and unwelcoming. Mrs. Dilber had left everything tidy before departing for her own Christmas celebrations, and the room held that particular quiet that comes only on winter evenings when the world outside grows hushed beneath a blanket of snow. Scrooge's leather armchair waited invitingly by the hearth, a wool throw draped across its arm, and his evening tea growing cool on the side table. But something stirred within him, a gentle restlessness that called him away from the warmth of home and out into the transformed night. He moved slowly to his wardrobe, selecting his heaviest coat and wrapping a soft woolen scarf around his neck. The motions felt almost ceremonial, this preparation for a Christmas Eve walk that had no particular destination in mind. Perhaps it was the memory of other Christmas Eve wanderings, those guided by spirits through time and consequence, that made this voluntary journey feel so significant. Tonight, though, he would be his own guide, led only by curiosity and the strange magnetism of the falling snow. The front door opened with barely a whisper, and Scrooge stepped out into the hushed cathedral of the winter night. The snow fell steadily but gently, each flake cool and soft against his weathered cheeks. He pulled the door closed behind him with the same careful quiet one might use in a library, unwilling to disturb the profound stillness that had settled over his street. His breath formed small clouds in the crisp air as he began to walk, his footsteps creating the first tracks in the pristine snow that had begun to accumulate on the pavement. There was something deeply satisfying about this being the first to mark the fresh canvas of winter, leaving behind a trail that spoke of purposeful movement through the peaceful night. The snow crunched softly beneath his boots, a rhythmic whisper that seemed to match the gentle rhythm of his breathing. As he walked, Scrooge found himself noticing details he had never paid attention to before, even in all his years of living on this very street. The way the snow clung to the iron railings, creating delicate white curves that softened the harsh lines of metal. The manner in which the gas lamps illuminated perfect circles of falling flakes, each one visible for just a moment before disappearing into the darkness beyond the light's reach. The warm golden rectangles of windows where families were surely gathered, their curtains drawn but not quite completely, allowing glimpses of Christmas trees and the flickering glow of hearth fires. He paused at the corner where his street met the broader avenue, taking a moment to appreciate the transformation that had occurred in just the short time since he'd left his house. Already, the snow had begun to muffle the usual city sounds, creating a hushed quality to the evening that made even distant carriage wheels sound dreamlike and far away. The world felt wrapped in cotton wool, insulated and safe, as if the snow were not merely frozen water, but rather some form of benediction settling gently over everything it touched. A movement caught his eye, a small tabby cat picking its way carefully across the street, pausing every few steps to shake the accumulating snow from its paws with delicate precision. Scrooge smiled at the creature's fastidious attention to keeping itself dry, remembering how he too had once viewed snow as nothing more than an inconvenience to be endured. The cat noticed his attention and regarded him with calm green eyes before continuing on its way, disappearing into the shadows between two houses with the unhurried confidence of one who knew exactly where it was going. Scrooge continued his meandering path through the neighborhood, allowing his feet to choose the direction, while his mind simply observed and absorbed the quiet beauty surrounding him. He turned down a narrow lane he had walked past countless times but never explored, finding it transformed into what seemed like a tunnel of winter enchantment. The buildings on either side rose like canyon walls, but the snow had softened their austere brick facades, and warm light spilled from many windows, creating patches of golden brightness against the white ground. The lane led to a small square he had not known existed, centered around a modest fountain that had been silenced by winter, but now served as an elegant centerpiece for the snow's artistry. The fountain's basin collected the falling flakes, creating a perfect circle of white that seemed to glow with its own inner light. Around the square's perimeter, bare tree branches created intricate patterns against the dark sky, each twig outlined in white, forming a delicate lacework canopy overhead. Scrooge settled himself on a bench that faced the fountain, brushing away the accumulated snow before sitting down. The cold of the metal seeped through his coat, but it was not unpleasant, rather, it served to heighten his awareness of the warmth generated by his own body, the efficient working of blood and muscle that kept him comfortable, even in winter's embrace. He tilted his head back slightly, allowing the snowflakes to land on his face, each one a tiny, brief coolness before melting against his skin. From somewhere nearby came the sound of church bells, not the urgent clamor of an alarm, but the measured, stately chiming that marked the passage of time on Christmas Eve. The bells seemed to ring with particular sweetness tonight, their bronze voices carrying clearly through the snow-muffled air. Scrooge found himself counting the chimes without conscious thought. 10 o'clock, marking another hour's passage in what felt like a night suspended outside of normal time. As he sat in peaceful contemplation, other figures began to appear in the square, drawn perhaps by the same magnetic pull that had brought him here. A young couple walked hand in hand around the fountain's edge, speaking in low, intimate tones that blended with the whisper of falling snow. An elderly gentleman with a walking stick made his careful way across the square, pausing to nod courteously to Scrooge before continuing on his journey. A woman carrying a basket covered with a checked cloth hurried past, likely bringing Christmas treats to family or friends, her footsteps quick but not rushed, purposeful rather than anxious. Each of these fellow travelers through the winter night seemed to carry with them the same sense of peaceful purpose that Scrooge felt within himself. There was no urgency in their movements, no stress or hurry despite the late hour on Christmas Eve. Instead, they moved with the measured grace of people who understood that some evenings were meant to be savored rather than simply endured, that the falling snow had transformed the ordinary world into something worthy of slow appreciation. The snowfall began to intensify slightly, the flakes growing larger and falling with more density, but still maintaining that gentle, unhurried quality that made watching them feel almost meditative. Scrooge pulled his scarf a bit tighter and settled more comfortably on the bench, in no hurry to move on. The increased snowfall created an even greater sense of enclosure and intimacy in the small square, as if nature were drawing curtains around this peaceful scene, making it feel like a stage set designed specifically for quiet contemplation. A small dog appeared from one of the side streets, a compact terrier with alert ears and bright eyes that seemed to find great joy in the falling snow. The dog trotted into the square with obvious delight, occasionally stopping to snap at falling flakes or to roll briefly in the accumulating snow before bounding up again to continue its playful exploration. Its owner, a middle-aged man in a wool coat and knitted cap, followed at a leisurely pace, smiling at his pet's enthusiasm, while maintaining the same unhurried cadence that seemed to characterize everyone Scrooge had encountered this evening. "Good evening," the man called softly as he drew near to Scrooge's bench, his voice carrying the kind of warmth that suggested he found genuine pleasure in greeting a fellow human being on this snowy night. "Good evening to you as well," Scrooge replied, surprised by how natural and pleasant it felt to exchange this simple courtesy with a stranger. "Your companion seems quite taken with the snow." The man chuckled, watching as his dog attempted to catch several flakes in rapid succession, spinning in small circles with tail wagging furiously. "He's never quite accepted that snow isn't something he can properly catch and keep. Every winter brings renewed optimism on his part that this time will be different. They shared a comfortable moment of observation, watching the dog's joyful futility with the kind of gentle amusement that required no commentary. The man touched the brim of his cap in a small salute of farewell and continued on his way, calling softly to his pet, who bounded after him with obvious reluctance to leave such an entertaining playground. Scrooge remained on his bench, feeling a deep satisfaction in the brief, warm exchange. How many such moments had he missed over the years, he wondered, by hurrying past instead of pausing to appreciate the simple pleasure of human connection. The thought brought no regret, however, only a renewed appreciation for his present circumstances and his ability to notice and cherish such encounters now. The snow continued to fall with that same mesmerizing steadiness, transforming the square into an increasingly dreamlike space. The footprints of the various passers-by were already beginning to fill in, creating a palimpsest of human presence that was constantly being written over by the patient work of the snowflakes. Soon, Scrooge realized, his own tracks leading into the square would be erased as well, leaving no permanent record of his presence here except in his own memory. There was something both humbling and liberating in this thought. The snow reminded him that human presence, while meaningful in the moment, was temporary and fleeting. Yet rather than making his time in the square feel insignificant, this recognition somehow made it feel more precious, more worthy of his complete attention. Each moment of peace, each gentle interaction, each instance of quiet beauty became more valuable when viewed as ephemeral gifts to be fully received and appreciated. The church bells chimed again 10:30, and Scrooge felt a gentle stirring that suggested it might soon be time to continue his journey through the snow-transformed city, but not quite yet. The square had become such a perfect sanctuary of winter peace that he found himself reluctant to leave, wanting to absorb just a little more of its quiet magic before moving on. As if in response to his desire to linger, the snowfall gradually lightened, becoming less dense but somehow more delicate, each flake seeming to dance on the air currents rather than simply falling straight down. This change in the snow's character created an even more enchanting atmosphere, as if the winter night were adjusting itself to match his mood, offering him a gentler, more ethereal version of its beauty. A clock tower somewhere in the distance chimed the 3/4 hour, its deeper bronze voice joining the ongoing conversation of bells that seemed to form the evening's soundtrack. Scrooge rose from his bench with the slow, deliberate movement of someone who had been perfectly comfortable and was reluctant to change positions. He brushed the accumulated snow from his coat and looked around the square one more time, memorizing its peaceful beauty before beginning the next portion of his Christmas Eve wandering. He chose a different exit from the square than the lane by which he had entered, following a narrow street that curved gently upward, leading toward what he assumed was higher ground. As he climbed the gradual incline, he could feel his heart working slightly harder, his breathing deepening in response to the modest exertion. The sensation was pleasant rather than taxing, a reminder of his body's capability and strength, even in his later years. The street he had chosen led him past a small church, its Gothic windows glowing with warm light that suggested evening services were still in progress. The sound of voices singing a Christmas hymn drifted through the heavy wooden doors, the melody made ethereal by the muffling effect of the falling snow. Scrooge paused outside the church, not to listen to the words which were indistinct at this distance, but to absorb the quality of human voices raised together in harmony, the sense of community and shared celebration that emanated from the building like warmth from a fire. He did not feel compelled to enter the church, finding that his solitary communion with the winter night provided its own form of spiritual sustenance. But he stood for several minutes in respectful appreciation of those inside who had chosen to mark Christmas Eve with communal worship, understanding that their path and his different approaches to the same underlying impulse toward reverence and gratitude. When the hymn concluded and the voices faded into spoken prayer too quiet to distinguish, Scrooge continued up the street, leaving the church to its celebrations while carrying with him a sense of having been touched by something sacred. The snow continued to fall around him with that same gentle persistence, now seeming less like weather and more like a manifestation of grace made visible, tangible evidence of the world's fundamental generosity toward all living things. The street crested a small hill, and Scrooge found himself looking out over a vista of London that the falling snow had transformed into something from a fairy tale. Below him, the city spread out in all directions, its usual harsh geometry softened into curves and flowing lines by the accumulating snow. The countless lights of homes and businesses created a constellation of warm points against the white ground, each one representing lives being lived, families gathering, individuals finding their own ways to mark the significance of Christmas Eve. He could see the Thames in the distance, its dark water still flowing despite the winter cold, winding through the city like a dark ribbon that connected all the neighborhoods and districts into one vast living organism. Even from this height, he could make out the occasional movement of late-night traffic carriages and pedestrians still going about their business despite the snow, each one following their own important trajectory through the transformed cityscape. Scrooge pulled his coat more snugly around himself and found another bench, this one positioned to take advantage of the panoramic view. From here, he could see how the snow was falling not just on his immediate surroundings but across the entire vast expanse of the city, covering rich neighborhoods and poor ones with the same generous blanket of white. The snow, he reflected, was perhaps the most democratic of nature's phenomena. It fell on palace and tenement alike, making no distinctions based on the worthiness or status of those below. This thought led him to consider all the other people throughout the city who might be having their own Christmas Eve encounters with the falling snow. Perhaps there were others like himself, drawn out of their homes by the quiet magnetism of winter beauty, wandering through streets made magical by the transformation of the familiar into something wonderful. Perhaps children were pressed against windows, watching the accumulation with excitement for tomorrow's possibilities of snowmen and snow angels. Perhaps lonely individuals were finding in the snow's gentle presence a form of companionship, a reminder that they were part of something larger than their individual circumstances. The idea of this vast network of private winter experiences happening simultaneously throughout the city filled Scrooge with a profound sense of connection and belonging. He was alone on this hilltop bench, but he was not isolated. He was participating in a city-wide, perhaps even worldwide communion with winter's beauty, part of an invisible community of people all discovering their own forms of peace and wonder in the falling snow. A church clock struck 11, its deep bronze voice carrying clearly through the crisp air. The sound seemed to come from directly below, though Scrooge could not identify which of the buildings in the vista might house such a resonant bell. The chime seemed to hang in the air longer than usual, as if the snow were slowing down even sound, allowing each bronze note to linger and blend with the whisper of falling flakes. The snowfall was beginning to lighten now, the flakes becoming more sparse but somehow more visible in the lamplight, each one catching and reflecting the golden glow as it drifted past. This gradual diminishing of intensity did not make the evening feel as though it were ending, but rather as though it were entering a different phase, becoming more intimate and focused, like a conversation that grows quieter as it grows more meaningful. Scrooge realized that he had been walking and sitting in the snow for nearly 2 hours. Yet he felt no fatigue, no desire to hurry home to warmth and shelter. Instead, he felt energized by the winter air, refreshed by the gentle exercise and the feast of beauty his senses had been receiving. His fingers and toes remained warm inside his gloves and boots, and his core temperature felt perfectly balanced, as if his body had adapted with surprising ease to the winter night. Rising from the bench with the same deliberate care he had used throughout the evening, Scrooge decided to begin making his way gradually homeward, but by a route that would allow him to continue his exploration of the snow-transformed city. He descended the hill by a different street than the one he had climbed, finding himself in an area of modest row houses, each one now wearing its own cap of snow, like a uniform that somehow managed to make each building look both more dignified and more welcoming. Warm light glowed behind curtained windows, and Scrooge caught occasional glimpses of Christmas celebrations in progress, the flicker of candles on trees, the silhouettes of people gathered around tables, the shadow of someone moving past a window, carrying what might have been a tray of Christmas treats. These brief glimpses into other people's Christmas Eve activities did not make him feel excluded or envious, but rather filled him with a gentle satisfaction in knowing that throughout the city, people were creating their own forms of warmth and celebration against the winter cold. He passed a small corner shop whose proprietor was just finishing the process of closing for the evening, sweeping snow away from the front step while humming what sounded like a Christmas carol. The man looked up as Scrooge approached and offered a cheerful, "Merry Christmas, sir," that carried such genuine warmth that Scrooge felt it like a physical sensation of comfort. "Merry Christmas to you as well," Scrooge replied, stopping for a moment to appreciate the man's obvious satisfaction in his simple task of keeping his shop's entrance clear of snow. "A beautiful evening for Christmas Eve." "Indeed it is, sir," The shopkeeper agreed, leaning on his broom and looking up at the still falling flakes with evident pleasure. There's something about snow on Christmas Eve that makes everything feel just as it should be, if you know what I mean. Scrooge nodded, understanding exactly what the man meant, though he might not have been able to articulate it any better himself. There was something in the combination of Christmas Eve and falling snow that seemed to activate some deep recognition of rightness, as if this particular convergence of time and weather represented the world as it was meant to be experienced. They stood together for a moment in comfortable appreciation of the evening before the shopkeeper returned to his sweeping and Scrooge continued on his way. The brief exchange left him feeling even more connected to the city around him, reminded once again of how many opportunities for simple human warmth existed in every day, waiting only for the willingness to notice and participate in them. The streets he walked now were quieter than those he had explored earlier in the evening, as if he were moving deeper into the night's embrace, entering the more profound stages of Christmas Eve's meditation. The snow continued to fall, but more gently now, creating an atmosphere of increasing intimacy and peace. His footsteps seemed to echo less, absorbed more completely by the accumulating snow, until he felt as though he were walking through a world made soft and silent specifically for his passage. He found himself on a tree-lined avenue he recognized as being not far from his own neighborhood, though he had approached it from a direction he had never used before. The bare branches overhead created an intricate canopy, each twig now outlined in white against the dark sky. Street lamps created pools of golden light at regular intervals, and within each illuminated circle, the falling snow became visible as individual flakes, each one following its own unique path to the ground. A horse-drawn carriage passed by, moving at the unhurried pace that seemed appropriate to the evening, its wheels making almost no sound on the snow-cushioned street. The driver was bundled in a heavy coat and scarf, and Scrooge could see his breath forming clouds in the cold air. The passenger inside the carriage was invisible behind drawn curtains, but warm light glowed from within, suggesting someone traveling in comfort through the winter night. The sight of the carriage reminded Scrooge of other Christmas Eve journeys he had taken, though under very different circumstances. Tonight's wandering felt like a conscious choice rather than a compelled experience, a gift he was giving himself rather than a lesson being imposed upon him. Yet there were similarities too, the sense of seeing familiar surroundings transformed, of moving through a world that had been made temporarily magical, of discovering new perspectives on experiences he thought he understood completely. As he walked, Scrooge began to recognize landmarks that indicated he was drawing closer to home. But rather than quickening his pace, he found himself slowing down, reluctant to end this peaceful communion with the winter night. Each block brought familiar sights made new by their covering of snow, the pharmacy with its mortar and pestle sign now wearing a white cap, the bakery whose windows remained lit though it had long since closed, the small park where bare trees stood like sentinels in the accumulating snow. When he finally turned onto his own street, Scrooge felt a complex mixture of satisfaction and gentle melancholy. The evening's journey had been everything he could have hoped for, peaceful, beautiful, filled with small moments of connection and wonder. Yet its approaching end reminded him of how precious such experiences were, how important it was to recognize and fully receive them when they occurred. His house stood waiting for him, its windows glowing warmly with the light he had left burning in his sitting room. Snow had accumulated on the sill of his front window, and he could see through the glass to his armchair by the fire, still draped with the wool throw he had left behind when the restlessness first stirred within him. The scene looked incredibly welcoming, promising warmth and comfort after his hours in the winter air. But before going inside, Scrooge paused on his front step to turn back toward the street and take one final look at the world the snow had created. The familiar row of houses, the gas lamps creating their pools of golden light, the pristine white surface marked only by his own returning footprints, all of it seemed to pulse with quiet magic, as if the ordinary world had been temporarily infused with something extraordinary. The snowfall was lighter now, the flakes fewer and more delicate, drifting down like the final notes of a lullaby. The silence was profound but not empty. It felt full of presence, saturated with peace, as if the night itself were breathing slowly and deeply, settling into the profound rest that such beauty seemed to encourage in all who witnessed it. Scrooge took a deep breath of the cold, clean air, feeling it fill his lungs with something that seemed more substantial than mere oxygen, a quality of freshness and purity that made him feel cleansed and renewed. His body was pleasantly tired from the walking, his mind clear and calm from the hours of gentle observation and appreciation. He felt prepared for sleep in a way that had nothing to do with exhaustion and everything to do with satisfaction, as if he had completed some important task that he had not even known he needed to undertake. He opened his front door quietly, stepping into the warmth of his hallway with gratitude for shelter that was sharpened by his hours in the open air. The contrast between outside and inside made him newly aware of what a gift warmth was, how luxurious it felt to move from winter's embrace into his own comfortable home. He removed his coat and scarf with slow, deliberate movements, hanging them carefully to dry, treating them with the respect due to garments that had served him well during his journey through the transformed city. The fire in his sitting room had burned low but still glowed with warm embers, casting gentle light across the familiar furniture and creating an atmosphere of perfect domestic peace. Scrooge settled into his armchair and pulled the wool throw across his lap, feeling his body begin to release the pleasant tension of the evening's adventure, relaxing into the deep comfort of home after meaningful time spent away from it. Through his window, he could see that the snow was still falling, though so lightly now that individual flakes were barely visible against the darkness. The street lamp outside his window continued to create its circle of golden light, and within that circle, the occasional snowflake still danced its brief, perfect dance before joining its countless companions on the white ground below. As he sat in his comfortable chair, watching the gentle conclusion of the snowfall, Scrooge felt a profound sense of completion settling over him. The evening had been exactly what he needed without his having known that he needed it, a reminder of beauty's constancy, of the world's endless capacity for transformation, of his own ability to receive and appreciate the gifts that surrounded him daily, if only he remained open to noticing them. The warmth of the fire, the softness of the wool throw, the comfortable support of his familiar chair, all of these domestic pleasures felt enhanced by his hours in the winter air, made more precious by the contrast with the cold night outside. He closed his eyes and listened to the profound silence that snow brings to a city, a silence so complete it seemed to have weight and substance, wrapping around him like another blanket. Tomorrow would be Christmas Day, filled with its own joys and celebrations. But tonight, Christmas Eve, belonged to this perfect peace, this gentle satisfaction with simple beauty, simply received. As sleep began to call to him with its own gentle insistence, Scrooge felt grateful for the restlessness that had drawn him out into the snow, for the transformation that had allowed him to appreciate such gifts, and for the promise of rest that would soon carry him into dreams filled with falling snow and the endless generosity of winter's quiet grace.